And first on my list, I would like to introduce the first speaker for this session. Okay, so I would like to invite Emmanuel. Please, could you share your screen?
Thank you, Dr. Fola. I will try to share my screen now.
Yeah, so Emmanuel Opara is a DAAD scholar and a PhD student at the University of Göttingen in Germany. So if you have questions about, I see a lot of questions about PhD scholarships and all that. So Emmanuel will tell you about the biggest PhD scholarship in Germany, which is the DAAD scholarship. So Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Good evening from here, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Uchichukwu Opara. I'm a Nigerian, and like Dr. Fola has already said, I'm a DAD scholar and a PhD candidate in the University of Göttingen. So quickly, I would just go to talk about DAD scholarships and specifically about a category of DAD scholarship called research grants, doctoral programs in Germany. A quick look at the overview. I would just talk about what or who is the DAD, known in English as the German Academic Exchange Service, and also try to touch a little bit on the scholarships they have. So numerous, as we would see, but there are links to this where you can actually check them out. And specifically, I'll talk about this category of scholarship, which I have, which is the one I'm using currently for my PhD, which I'm almost rounding up. And then also have a quick look at the application procedure and important information that could help us in that process. So the DAAD, known in German as the Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst, DAAD, and in English, the German Academic Exchange Service, was initially established in 1925. At the beginning, they were mostly focused on ensuring that German scholars found places outside Germany and to have this kind of exchange. And then quickly they expanded to accommodate also scholars and researchers from all over the world, and with their main aim focused on internationalizing German universities. To tell you how big the organization is in terms of spending and supporting researchers and scholars, since its inception, they have already funded about 2.9 million scholars within Germany and abroad. In 2022 alone, that was around 140,000 scholarships given out in different categories. So other things they also do includes like promoting German languages, German studies and language globally, and advising on education, foreign science, and also improving higher education systems abroad. You can also have more information about who they are, what they do, their source of funding and everything, which mainly comes from their federal ministries on the website in the link. The slide will also be shared. So DAD scholarships are generally non-repayable like most scholarships. And like I already mentioned, they sponsor over 100,000 students and researchers worldwide annually. And the monthly stipends for graduates, which is at master's level, is around 934 and around 1,200 for doctoral students. And this is in addition with a travel allowance with which you can use to come to Germany, and also at the end of your studies to go back home if necessary. Other perks that could also come include various insurance, liability, health, accidents, and also research grants, family benefits for those researchers that have their family or are already married or have their spouse with them. And if you have a type of scholarship like mine, you could also be funded to learn the German language to a specific level, most times B1. So you can also get a comprehensive information about their scholarship at the website found in the slide. So let's talk about these research grants doctoral programs in Germany. It's quite an interesting category of the DAD funded scholarships, which most times many people don't apply for. I don't know why, but it's quite a very good scholarship scheme under the DAD umbrella that they have. And if you have above average qualifications, your master's or diploma, if you studied in Germany, and you have the traditional diploma. And although on their website they said bachelor's, but I've not seen anyone, particularly from Africa, that has gotten any DAD PhD scholarship in this category with a bachelor. So I don't think that really applies a lot. So it allows you to complete your doctoral program in Germany. And this program could be private, which must be supervised, of course, by a university professor if it's an individual research, or part of a structured program like I have. I applied for a structured program in the University of Göttingen, and I was admitted, and then I applied for the scholarship to fund it. So normally the grants are awarded 1 year at a time. So you will get the first year, and based on a selection committee's perception that you have met the required goals or what you have already set out to do, you will be also extended for the next year and so on and so forth, but just for a maximum of 4 years and no more. So you must be on your toes when you have such funding. So the selection committee makes the selection both during the application and also for your renewals. So the detailed information can also be found in the link there. So let's talk about the application procedure. And the very first step is preparation, like in everything we do in life. So there is always this confusion when you want to apply, like Dr. Sefat already said, you must take time to check what professor you want to apply to, what is his research profile, what does he want, and you, what do you want, what are your capacity, what are your capabilities, and you have to decide on the research path you want to take. First of all, you have to do this on your own and define it clearly. And as part of the tips, you have to start on time. I mean, it's so funny when people write maybe in August and they say, I want to apply in October and I want to know what to do. For me, I mean, I have faith too, and it's good for people to have faith, but that is impractical. If you really want to apply, for instance, in October, as is the deadline for people from my region or from my country, then you have to start as early as maybe the November or August of the previous year, or even the January, because finding a host takes a while. So this is something very critical you have to do. So the second step is to, after you've decided and you've identified a number of professors that fit into your profile, what you want, and you think you have the skills to meet up with what they would like to work, who they would like to work with, is to assemble the application components. And of course, your CV, academic transcripts. I know one will wonder why I said assemble the academic transcripts. So of course, for those of us that come from some parts where some parts of Africa where it is like an uphill task to get your transcript sent, you really have to start on time, at least have the student copy at hand to be able to write the professors, pending at least when the academic copy will be ready to be sent to the universities. It's important that you have this ready. You have your research interest letter, which should be as brief and concise as possible, highlighting what are your interests and how that aligns with the potential host's goals and scope and area of interest too. Also, if you have language proficiency certificates, if you have, I mean, it's not really a big requirement, but if you have, it also boosts your chances, because if you are enrolling for a program in English, and you have a way to prove that you're also very proficient in English, in writing, in speaking, or otherwise, then it will also boost your chances, not just with the post, but also in the application process. But if you don't, no problem. If you also have some kind of language proficiency in German and you are targeting a program in German, I think this will also help. This is my personal opinion. I have seen people include this in their applications and it worked for them. I'm not saying that's what did it, but these are possibilities. So the last is a confidential recommendation, which is part of the requirements for the application, which you must also have. And it's good that you reach out in time to a credible academic referee that will give you this letter and inform the person, get the person ready or in the know as to when you will need this letter to be submitted, so that you don't have to face disappointments. Imagine putting together a very wonderful application and at the last minute, you are not applying because you couldn't get this reference letter. So generally, the criteria for DAD selection is based on qualification, in terms of your GPA, grades, stuff like this, quality of the proposal, of course, applicant's potential. And it's very important when you're also looking out for hosts, check if your host has supervised DAD students in the past. If you get a host who has worked with DAD students in the past, then I feel like I have seen in recent times that you stand a better chance of making a good application and also your application being approved. This is not written anywhere, but this is what a trend I have seen in recent times, and a few persons I know that have tried this, it also worked very well for them. So you can also keep that in mind and give it a try. So when you're identifying and contacting the host, important things to avoid, like writing long emails, we already talked about that, tailor your CV, follow up from time to time, and also demonstrate a reasonable level of independence in terms of coordination, ingenuity, and everything. Then be time conscious. But also make sure that you have a mentor. Always, this is important. Have a mentor, maybe someone who is a step ahead of you in career, someone who is knowledgeable in your field, in your chosen field, who will also give you inputs, who will also give you insights or even correct or make some suggestions to you in terms of writing the proposal, or if there are anything, eventualities coming up. It's very, very important. Not just anybody, but someone who is knowledgeable in your field. This is why I always use the word knowledgeable mentor. Keep the knowledgeable mentor in the loop, someone you can look up to and learn from. So in terms of developing the research proposal, as this forum is not to talk about proposal, but these are some tips you could follow. Keep it short and simple. Provide only the important information. It's not like the real thing, like real proposal you're going to present at university, but they just want you to demonstrate like that you know what you're doing and you could do it. And important things to pay attention to, especially that the reviewers will be looking at, the selection committee, in terms of the methodology, the standards, equipment, conventions, if what you are proposing is even possible, or you are just writing something that is highfalutin to play to the gallery. So be specific and avoid things that are not necessary. So regularly update your host if you are making changes or if you're having any new ideas during the writing process, and also be prepared for impromptu corrections, because sometimes these professors can have conversations with their friends or their colleagues and then have some new ideas and they write you and tell you to incorporate them. Usually, you must expect that they will not compel you to do nothing. They're always very polite and will always suggest ideas to you. But trust me, those suggestions also speak a lot about what they want you to do. So do well to listen to them. So be conscious of the deadlines, and this information on deadlines you will always find on the website. You will always find it. So do a regular check and keep your knowledgeable mentor in the loop as always. So when you are done with that, you have done your first draft, you've gone through it with your professor, you've done all the checks, check the standard, methodologies, everything is correct, the conventions, make sure that you are not saying anything that infringes on anything that is no longer needed or required in the field. Just check all those things. Then the next thing to do is to make a checklist of the required documents and ensure that you have them. Usually you should do this about 2 months or at least 6 weeks to the deadline, so that you have enough time in case you have none of these to run around and put them together. And usually it involves the online application form, your CV, your certificate and transcripts, your publications. Very, very important. If you have publications, relevant publications, relevant. I mean, I say relevant because if you put something that's not in line with what you're applying for, which happens from time to time, that we get to publish something that's not in line with what we applied for, then it doesn't help. Then your host supports letter, the conditional admission letter. I added conditional admission letter because I found that sometimes, I'm not saying it's on paper that is a requirement or it's a secret, but I found that sometimes if you already have a provincial admission letter or a conditional admission letter, a provisional rather, or conditional admission letter, it may enhance your chances of getting the DAD scholarship because you already have an admission. It means you also passed the selection committee of your faculty. So I saw this in recent applications, and even in mine, I got a conditional admission letter first before applying for the scholarship. So this could help also. And the last is the recommendation letter I mentioned. You must make sure that your referee is providing that. So when you are done with that and you have everything, the next thing is to submit your application and keep your fingers crossed, remain hopeful. But within this period of waiting, which normally, for instance, if you apply in October for people in my region or country, it normally comes at around February, March. You start getting the initial notifications about if you have been selected, pre-selected, or stuff like that. So keep periodic and healthy contact with your host. Don't allow the contact grow cold. If you have some new ideas, if you have some things, keep communicating, keep sharing. You could even write a review like I did. I wrote a review with my professor within this waiting period, and I found that really helpful when I started my studies. So read and update your skills and competencies. So that is basically the most important tips I know I can share about this. And I think I'm open very much to your questions that you may have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that quick insight on DAD scholarships and all the tips that you have given regarding applying for the DAD scholarship. I would suggest that we have the next speaker, and I think it's better if we have like a collective question session, so it makes the discussion more interesting. So, as a result of that, hold your questions. You could already drop them in the chat box, but we would have like a bigger question session after all the speakers. So, as a result, I would invite the next speaker, who is Adenike Adenaya. She's a KAAD scholar and a PhD student at the University of Oldenburg in Germany. So don't get confused. KAAD is different from DAAD, but they're very similar, and she would tell you what KAAD means shortly. I didn't get the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fola. I really appreciate the opportunity given to me. I will try to share I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you, but we're not seeing you.
I'm sorry, my camera is not working. I'm really sorry.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll share my slides now. Okay.
And just to announce now that after the whole scholarship session, we would have like a group photo. So, it's part of making this real. So please stay to the end. We would have a group photo on Zoom, and it will be like a testament that you attend the session. And of course, the questions at the end of the session will be very interesting. So stay till the end.
Okay. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adenike Adenaya. I am a PhD student at the University of Oldenburg, and I am also a KAAD scholar. I am in my third year, in the third year of my university, of my PhD. So I am delighted to discuss a little bit about KAD with you. So just like Dr. Fola said, that KAD is different from DAD. Yeah, DAD is bigger, I would say, than KAD. So KAD is actually, it means the Katholische Akademische Ausländerdienst, and it is focused on giving scholarships to students, mostly international students, I would say. So today we'll be talking about KAD, like I said, and then we'll be talking about the type of scholarships that KAD offers. We'll also be talking about the application processes and deadlines, and I will be walking you through the application website if I have the time. Okay, so first, about KAD. KAD was actually formed as a non-profit association in May 1958, and since then they have been targeting scholars from Africa, from Asia, from Latin America, from the Middle East, and from Eastern Europe. So there are two types of scholarships under KAD. The first scholarship is called Scholarship 1, and it is targeted for students that are in their home countries. And the students, they apply to KAD directly, and they get invitation to some KAD partners in their home countries. And once they pass the interviews and other requirements, then they are funded, and they are invited directly from their home countries. They are like their flights are being paid for, and they have the opportunity to learn the German language for about 6 months before they can begin their studies. And under this Scholarship 1, there's also a program called the Surplace Program. This program is targeted at master's students in specific countries. And these countries are Ghana, Kenya, Lebanon, Ethiopia, Peru, Zimbabwe, Jordan, and Guatemala. So the other type of scholarship that KAD has is called the Scholarship 2. So this type of scholarship is targeted for international students that are already in Germany, for both masters and for both PhD students, and sometimes for visiting researchers. So for students that are already here, they can apply that. They don't get to apply directly to KAD actually. They have to apply through KHG, which is the university or the community Catholic chaplaincy in their city. And this KHG rather would call the applicant, and then they would do interviews for them, and then once they are able to meet up to the requirement, they are given the scholarship. So I have the links of the two scholarship types, but like I said earlier on, that I will be walking you through the website. So this slide, slide on my right hand is just for us to see the numbers of scholarships that are being given out by KAD in 2022. I got this slide from the Yeberite, which is the report for 2022, and as we can see here that they gave scholarship to about 424 students alone in 2022, and these people are also targeted. People from these countries are also targeted. I don't have to forget that they really prioritize Ghana and Kenya because these two countries, they have partners within their countries that are really like advocate for students to get scholarships. Yeah, so the application process is done like twice a year. One good thing about KAD is that there's no application deadline. but applications are actually considered twice a year, in March and in September. And remember that scholarship, the students have to like apply directly from their own country, and for scholarship 2, you don't have to apply to KAD directly, but you have to apply through KHG. So now I would like to walk you through the scholarship website. I will to Chrome or whatever search engine that you use and type KAD scholarship, just like I have here. And you see that it is the first thing that appeared on my list here. And once you click there, you have like I've explained before, that you have 2 types of scholarship. They give you information about the scholarship 1 program, and they also give you the information about the scholarship 2 program. This the other program is for the people in the Eastern European regions. So once you see, once you get there, you click on scholarship 1 program, and then it's very simple. You read their how to apply, who can apply, and other stuff like that. And then you just click on online application, and you see the application form. Once you click the application form, you just send. But sending this application alone does not guarantee that you will be invited, or that you'll be called, or that you'll be given the scholarship. They have to like invite you for interviews. You have to also submit recommendation letters. You have to give them a lot of things that they request for. So then that takes us back to scholarship 2, which is my favorite, because I'm on that scholarship 2. I did my master's there, and then I just applied directly to KHG under scholarship 2. So once you get to scholarship 2, like I said, that you don't have to apply directly to KAD. You have to apply through the KHG community in your city. And once you click that, you see all the city, like the KSG in your city, their information will be displayed right. They will just display the information, so you have their phone numbers, you have their email address, you have even their post address. You can decide to visit them, you can send them a mail. But what I did was just to copy their number, and then I called them directly. And they were so nice that immediately that I called, the woman attended to me, and she set up an interview with me, and I was really surprised that I got the scholarship at the end of the day. So that is my testimony, actually. And like I said, the KHG is virtually or literally in every city. So you can just check here and look out for your city and pick up your phone or your email address, and then call them or send them an email. Okay, so that is that about that. Okay, I think I have come to the end of my presentation. I thank you so much for your attention, and I wish you all the best in your application. I'm also open to any questions.
Thank you very much, Adenike, for that insightful presentation about KAD. And at least now we know some difference between KAD and DAAD. So I would suggest that we continue the session to have the last presentation, which will be done by me, and then we would have, I think, the last 15 minutes as a question session, which I think is better like that. So we don't, because if we ask questions, then it would break the flow. I hope you all agree to that plan. And if you do, then I will just go ahead to share my screen. And unfortunately, I cannot see the chat box anymore, but I would just continue. So I would introduce myself later. I have a few questions here, but just because of time, I would not bore you with the questions. But they are really interesting to really know, the people here, what is their experience in applying for scholarships and all that. And my second question was basically about how many rejections have you had? If you've had one or two, then it means you have something that you have learned from. And if you've had no rejections at all, then it also shows. Please, could you please mute yourself because I'm hearing some background noise. So, a short introduction about myself. I had my bachelor's in chemistry from the University of Ibadan, and then I did a master in analytical chemistry from the same university in Nigeria. And then I moved to Germany for another master degree in ecotoxicology at the University of Koblenz-Landau, and that I got a scholarship for. And then afterwards, I also did my PhD in ecotoxicology at the Helmholtz Center for Environmental Research in Leipzig. For that, it was not a scholarship; it was like a job contract. People in Germany would know this, but just call it a scholarship. I think that's the best way to explain this. Then currently, I'm working as a senior expert in chemical regulations in Germany, and I also founded Enviro Scholars, which I will tell you briefly about now. So, Enviro Scholars was a website I created shortly after I moved to Germany. I moved to Germany in 2014, and I started this website in 2015. And this came as a result of, before I moved to Germany, I'd already gained a lot of exposure into scholarship websites, and I just wanted to create something to collate scholarships in the area of environmental sciences and all. That was the intention when it started. However, it has now grown to, now there are scholarships from every part of the world, also in every field. So, as I said, the motivation was to collect scholarships. And when I got my PhD position, then the motivation decreased because it required a lot of time to maintain the scholarship website. However, I'm still motivated to maintain it because I see people use it and people give testimony about it. So even though it's a lot of time for me, but I still am happy to give my time for this. And I must admit, in the last 1 year, I've not been able to update this because of a lot of stress from my work. But from now on, be rest assured that if you are following this scholarship blog, you will receive up-to-date information. So with that, I jump right into some details about scholarship. So today, my main message to you, after listening to the talk from Adenike and Emmanuel about DAD and KAD scholarships, my main message to you is develop a good scholarship application and search strategy. So what does that mean? So everyone, when they want to apply for scholarships, they embark on this aimlessly. They just go on the website and they just find something and they just apply. However, you need to treat scholarship application way much more than that. And so, people work hard a lot when they apply for scholarships. They are always on the internet, they are looking for scholarships. However, I would like to tell you that hard work cannot overcome a bad strategy. Many people don't even have a strategy, which means hard work cannot even overcome that. You just applying is not a strategy. And of course, I will tell you what strategy is. Now, a strategy is drawing a plan, including your goals. What, is it a master scholarship? Is it a PhD scholarship? How much duration do you give yourself? Normally, I would say 1 year from now, you have to give yourself a duration of when you want to apply and when you will get the result. Because the duration is also attached to the deadlines of the scholarship that you want to apply for. And also you need to look at the target countries. Every country has different requirements. And when you decide that yes, I want to apply to Germany or I want to apply to China, they have different requirements, which you also need to put into perspective, right? You also need to analyze your own profile. Do I have a first class? Is it a second class Opara? Is it a third class? Whatever grade you have, if you write that down and then you will then know what you need to improve your profile. If you have a third class and you then have, I don't know, some work experience somewhere, it means that there are specific scholarships that are for you. If you have a second class or if you have a first, also your profile analysis is very important. Don't just go ahead to apply for all scholarships out there. And then of course, when you've then done your profile analysis, then the next point is you then need to shortlist the scholarship that suits your personal profile. So also, as I said, most countries offer scholarships in different ways.
Hello, sir. Sorry, your slide is not showing. We can only see the first slide.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. I'm going to fix it right away. Okay. Is it moving now?
Yes, on slide 2, though not in the full screen.
Okay, yeah, okay, I understand. So put it in full screen again.
I think you can stop the sharing, stop the PowerPoint presentation mode, and maybe start it again.
Yeah, but I think it's okay, even if you don't see it in full screen, it's fine.
Okay,
so,
yes.
but you can see, yeah, it's fine. So I think I just proceed like that. So I think so that means you didn't see when I talked about myself here, but I guess then I talked about the scholarship website and all that, and I'm currently on this slide here. So yeah, I already talked about the strategy that you need, and part of the strategy is also for you to, different countries have different requirements, and you need to know that in order to know how best to apply. And the third point here is that basically scholarships can come from different sources. When you see scholarship, you need to differentiate where they are from, and that helps you to analyze how much of effort you need to put into getting it. So, and I would jump right into that. So finding the right scholarship for master's, PhD, and postdoc fellowships. As I already said, I would segment scholarships into different categories. The first one is the sources. When you see a scholarship, you need to ask yourself, where is the source? Is it from like the government of the country? Is it from a university? Is it from independent funding organizations? This would help you to understand where you need to lay your emphasis in your application. Also, I will talk about the types of scholarship based on the requirements and also the levels of scholarship. So, yeah, so for the sources of scholarship, here's the first source, which is the most popular source that you might know. It is the scholarships that are funded by governments of different countries. These scholarships are very competitive, they are prestigious, and they are usually full funding, and they also have complex application process. However, it does not mean that you cannot get them. As I said, just being aware that this scholarship is from the government already gives you more information than just applying for every scholarship that you find out there. Then the next source of scholarship is from the university. The university scholarships, they are very popular in countries like Australia, in the US, in Canada, and in UK, and also in Germany, for example. So this university scholarship just means several universities around the world, they also have funding that is not from the government, that they set aside for scholarships. For example, the scholarship that I got when I moved to Germany was a university scholarship. It was not a DAD or a KAAD scholarship. It was a scholarship from my university that was targeting developing countries, and that's how I got it. So usually these university scholarships are for PhD programs, but also for master's programs, and sometimes they may require initial contact with supervisors. This is popular, like in the US, for example. For you to get a scholarship, sometimes you need to write what is called cold email to professors or potential supervisors, and it could be full or partial funding. Then the next source of scholarship is independent organizations. So, for example, there are many organizations all over the world that are also offering scholarships. It's not government based, it's not university based. One example of this is MasterCard Foundation. I don't know if anyone knows MasterCard Foundation here. If you know it, just give it a thumbs up. So some of these independent organization scholarships, as you already know, they require extensive searching, and that is part of your strategy. So if you already know that, for example, your profile, if you know that you have less grade, your profile is not good enough, then you need to go to find scholarships that are not so much competitive, that many people are not applying for. And for such, you would find a lot of independent organizations offering those kind of scholarships, such that when you find them and you apply to them, there's not so much competition, which means you have a higher chance. But if you apply to government scholarships, those are very popular. Everyone knows that. Everyone is applying thousands every year. So if you know that your profile is not strong enough, then you consider those kind of scholarships. And for you to do that, it means you need to search. You need a search strategy. These independent organization scholarships, they are popular amongst also industry. For example, there's the Goya Foundation Scholarship in Germany. I've also applied for this before twice. There are also political-based foundations in Germany. Maybe some of you that are in Germany would know Friedrich Ebert Scholarship. I would say much more, and I will give examples of this scholarship later. And as I already said, they are relatively less competitive. So if you want to find scholarships in which are less competitive, then you know where to go to. Now you know what keywords you need to search for. And some of them may require social commitment. What does social commitment mean? It means that they might require you to have volunteering experience in your profile, or for example, if you've done some project, community project and things like that. So, and this is how you know that having a strategy is important, because if your grade is not so strong and you can support that with some volunteering experience, community development project, then there are some scholarships that will prioritize you. So then I would move to the next category of scholarships. Here I want to talk about the types of scholarships. And they are, as you guys may already know, excellence-based scholarship. This means these scholarships are for excellence. If you have first class, high 2-1, or for example, if you have very high grades, or maybe in your master's degree, you had a very high grade. So this is based on excellence and only excellence. And some of them might include social impact or other components which you need to check depending on the scholarship. And they are very prestigious scholarships. Some of them are, most of the government scholarships are excellence based, because they are looking for the best in terms of grade. And you may already know that the best in terms of grade might not be best in other factors. So it is then your own responsibility to look for scholarships that prioritize the things, or the things that you are strong in your profile. The second type of scholarship is need-based. There are some scholarships that they also lay emphasis on excellence, but they are also looking for people that really need a scholarship. And here I give an example of KAAD. Maybe Adenike would agree with me that some of these scholarships require you to show that you need it. So, for example, maybe your parents are not capable to fund you, or there are several reasons that you might be able to show why you need those kind of scholarships. And as I said, that does not mean that that if you have bad grades that they will take you in. However, you showing the need supports that the reason why you would get such kind of scholarships. And for those kind of scholarships, you need a very strong motivation letter to show why you need the scholarship. And then the social impact-based scholarship, as I already said, requires you to have some community projects and all that. So then the last category of scholarship I want to show you, the reason why I'm telling you all this categorization is that when you see a scholarship, you automatically categorize it, and it helps you to know how much you can prepare your documents to apply for such scholarship. So here we have three levels. We have the tuition only scholarship. For example, in Germany, in many universities, tuition is free. And that is a scholarship in itself. Even though we studied in Germany, we do not appreciate it as such, because it is for everyone. However, if you look at it, in Germany, tuition is free, and that is technically a tuition scholarship. However, some other countries offer tuition scholarship, like in the US, you will get a lot of scholarships whereby it's only for your tuition. They will pay your tuition for you. And also in Canada, you have scholarships like that. Then there are scholarships that are stipend, which means apart from paying your tuition, they also pay for your sustenance. You know, they pay for your accommodation, for your feeding, and all that. And then you also have a full scholarship. Please mute yourself if your microphone is.
Has it stopped? Not stopped.
Okay, so we then have the full scholarship, which involves the tuition, the stipend. They also give you travel allowances. Of course, that is the kind of scholarship you should aim for, because if you get such kind of scholarship, it makes your life easier. And that's like the DAD scholarship. The DAD scholarship is an example of this kind of scholarship. So then now I will quickly show you examples of scholarships around the world. So here is like it's a very short list. There are several more, but of course I cannot show you everything. You also need to search for yourself if you are interested. So in Germany, like we already said, Emmanuel presented already on DAD. It's one of the government scholarship in Germany, and it is highly prestigious. And in the USA, we have the Fulbright. In Europe, we have Erasmus. In China, CAS and so Canada, there's so many of them. And the point here is that if you do not know any of the scholarship currently, then, for me, the impression I would have is that it's either you are not searching enough, that means you're only following the crowd. It means that you just are looking at what people are posting to you, maybe on social media. However, if you are serious about your scholarship ambition, you need to go out for yourself and write a search strategy that will then help you to find scholarships like this. Then here I would like to show you a few scholarships about that can help you to do your PhD or even your master's in Germany. This, as I said, is also just a little bit of them. There are several of them. There are actually like 13 funding organizations in Germany that can provide funding for postgraduate studies, and it's not only for Germans. It's also for international students. So, however, for these scholarships, there are some very key requirements which limit people from applying. So, for example, it requires German language proficiency. I don't know if maybe Adenike can talk about this later. If for KAAD scholarship, if she has to prove German language proficiency. However, many of these requires that, and you would imagine that if you are in Nigeria or in any other country, you don't have this naturally. I mean, I know few people that already speak German, even though they don't live in Germany, but those are like they are the exception. So that's like the first limiting barrier. That if you want to access one of these, scholarships in Germany, they are foundation scholarships. You need German language. However, just a quick tip, do not let that stop you. If you are interested and you meet other requirements, I would go ahead to write, to contact them that, oh, this is my situation. I'm already learning. I don't have B2 or B1 at the moment. Can I still apply? So doing this is also because these things, people out there make the decision. If you do that, the person will just say, yes, you can apply. And just like that, that's the way for you. I've seen cases where this has happened. So don't get discouraged when you see requirements that you cannot meet. Always take the initiative to write to contact them about this. Uh, Also, as I said, it requires social and volunteering experience. I already talked about that. Sometimes some of these scholarships requires affiliation to religious organizations or to political organizations. Like, for example, the KAD is like a Christian organization. Actually, it's like a Catholic organization funding. Some of this also, like the Conrad Adenaya scholarship, it's like a political affiliated scholarship, but that is not so limiting in this case. Even if you are a Muslim, you could still apply for KAD. Adenike can talk more about this, but that's my impression. However, you need to be able to prove it or write it in your motivational letter. Um, then the third requirement is, of course, you need to have exceptional academic achievement. Uh, another good requirement is that you need to have admission to a German university. So don't wait before you have the scholarship. go ahead, find a supervisor that will supervise your PhD, or I don't know, for your master's as well. Apply for admission. When you have that and you apply for the scholarship, it improves your chances because they now know that yes, you are serious about it, and you now have some kind of a German university has accepted you, and it makes it easier for them to also accept you. Then, in addition, if you also can already find a supervisor, even if you don't have a admission yet, if you have a supervisor, that also improves your chances of getting such scholarships. Then I don't know if we have postdocs in the house. Here is also a list of postdoc scholarships around the world. Of course, I would not go through them one by one, but they are also very interesting to check out. Even if you're in Germany and you want to do your postdoc in Germany or abroad, there are a lot of organizations here that would fund you. And I think I just want us to go now into questioning session. So I just jumped to my conclusion. I also had a practical session here, but I think I know many of you have questions, so let's just jump in there. So my final remarks is that applying for a scholarship is a full-time job in itself. Some of you would ask, how is that possible? If I'm working or if I'm studying, how am I able to make applying for scholarship a full-time job? Well, that's a good question. Uh, the only way you can do that is that it does not mean that you need to spend 8 hours every day applying for scholarships, but it means that you need to make it a daily engagement. Every day, even if it is 1 hour per day, you go and you search for scholarships. Maybe you improve your motivational letter. So there's something you can do, and you need to make it a daily affair for months, and then you then have results. But if you just do it once a month, then I'm sorry to tell you, then you are not serious enough. So the second point is that scholarship rejections only mean gained experience and not failure. So for me personally, my scholarship rejection list is higher than my scholarship acceptance list. So scholarship rejection is part of the process. It is part of the 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 um, the process of getting your scholarship. So don't feel discouraged if you have that. Number three, get a mentor or a trusted colleague who can give you constructive criticism. When you put together your application, you might think that, oh, this is the best application. However, when someone, a more experienced person, sees from their perspective, they can give you a comment on that. And self-evaluation is key. And the last point, be proactive, think about the next phase. So with that, I would like to end this short presentation, and then I would like to move directly into the question session. So, and as we had talked from Emmanuel about DAD, also talked from Adenike about KAD, and I just gave, like a summary about other possibilities. So please, if you have questions in the chat, or if feel free to use your microphone and raise your hands, and you can direct your questions to either Emmanuel, Adenike, or me. So does anyone have a question for the audience yet? Maybe Adenike can already start to answer my questions about, for the KAD, did you require German language proficiency? Also, did you think that someone that is not a Christian or a Catholic can get such scholarship? Thanks.
Actually, no. But for this scholarship one, once you get to Germany, you have to you have to learn the German language for about 6 months before you start continuing with your studies. But for scholarship two, they will ask if you are proficient in German, and it depends on your answer. At least for me, I didn't even have my interview in German. It was basically in English, and I just told the interviewer that I was still learning German, So I would say that is not really, it's not really the major um how would I even say, the major criteria. Okay, for the second question, yes, you don't have to be a Christian before you can get the KAAD scholarship. At least the people from the Middle East, the majority of them are not. They are not Christians. In fact, there was a time that we were in church and a lady prayed, like she basically read the Islamic, the Quran in church, you know. So this means that everyone was inclusive, you know. So you don't have to be from a Catholic, you don't have to be a Catholic member. You don't also have to be a Christian before you can apply to the scholarship body.
Okay, thanks a lot, Adenike. So I guess you guys now know that you don't have limitations. So when you see requirements, you need to, try to ask questions beyond that. I saw the hand, but I don't see it anymore. Okay. I think there's a very long question in the chat.
No, it's just me that answered the question. The answer my question.
Haman, do you want to ask a question? Haman?
No, I just the question I want to ask, and she already answered it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. We have Andrew Rains. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, and thank you so much for organizing this conference. I already posted something in the chat, and there are responses about it, but I may appreciate more response to that. Now, some of us who apply for maybe PhDs or grants, and then just like we're discussing with Dr. Betty, some of the applications were rejected, they were not accepted, and you don't even know why they were not accepted. It's not really helping scholars because you may still make the same mistakes why you were not accepted in the first instance. You don't know the reason. Nobody tells you, okay, your application has been rejected or was not accepted, or you're not taken because of so and so reason. You know that person is liable to make same mistakes in the next application he is doing. So we appreciate if you can tell us one or two things that you feel may cause a rejection or can result to an applicant not being accepted, either for a PhD or a grant. Then secondly, what's let me say, economy of living in Germany? I say, with some of you that are there, can you please tell us how's the life like? Some of the things we see on social media, actually they could be true, but reality is better told than just listening to social media alone. We appreciate to hear from some of you that are there. How's the economy of life? Work, going to study, combining study and work together. Please, we appreciate the response. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew. Does anyone want to take this? Emmanuel, or please feel free to shoot.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I could say a thing or two about his question. First, concerning reasons why applications are rejected. Actually, I don't think they normally say, but this is why I say when you are applying, try to get someone who is more experienced involved, like a knowledgeable mentor. There are very common pitfalls, like what I already said concerning when you're writing the application, you have to look out for your methodology, the conventions, the standards, everything, or even the workability of the proposal itself. Is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it workable? So maybe you are proposing a technique, and maybe it happens that the reviewer or the committee member, the selection committee member knows so well about your institute where you are going, and he knows that they don't have this capacity. And you've not explicitly said how you intend to, like maybe through collaboration or assess, let's say, for instance, an equipment. Like when I was applying for my scholarship, there was this technique I needed to use, UPLC. It wasn't available in my institute, or if I'm very sure, maybe not anywhere around my university, but I had to put in a collaborating institute where I could access this. And I was able to prove that we had that link in my application. So I don't know. I don't have so much experience with rejections because I applied for the first time and I got it. So, but I think one thing that could help is to start on time to apply. Many people make these mistakes of rushing applications within 2 months, within 3 months. There will always be pitfalls you will fall into. But if you have enough time, and like I said, always look out for professors who already have experience working with BAD scholars, which means they have already applied before and they are getting. So it means he knows some of these pitfalls and he will provide very good guidance. So that is that about that, what I can say from the little experience I have. Then concerning cost of living, I wouldn't say it's not really what anybody could just say, because what they give you will be enough for you to survive. I mean, except you want to live a large life, then you have to look for how to fund that. But what they give you is enough for you to survive and maybe save a little. But then you have to really, really be very frugal and spend only when you need to spend, especially with inflation and rising cost of living and everything. So that is all I will have to say. But the money they will pay you, for instance, if you get a DAD scholarship for PhD, is enough to take care of you, pay your rent. There are also possibilities for subsidies if your rent is so high, if you are living in places where your rent is so high. So, and I don't know about getting a part-time job as a PhD student. It depends on what you are working on. But if you can get it within your institute, then it's really good. Your professor could say, okay, I would offer you a part-time job, maybe as a research assistant, do this, do that. And he can just pay you up to, I think it's about 480 or 520 euros now, maximum per month, which they can pay you. Then this will also help. But outside your institute or outside the university, this will really be difficult. It will really be difficult as a PhD student, except you really want not to perform in your PhD research. So that is what I would say.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think that's spot on. I basically have nothing to add to that. So we are running out of time. So if you have questions, keep it concise. Also, the answers should be concise. Adenike, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fola. I want to answer to the first question regarding why people get rejections every time. Because I've been able to, like, I have mentors here, and sometimes I talk to them, and I do not only have mentors here, I also have in Nigeria. So one thing that I got to know, or one thing that I learned from them, is that a lot of these applications that comes in or that come in, they're not like novel enough. Like, they are not really special enough. So they want to know what is it that you really want to offer apart from what they are offering, or apart from what they are already doing. How do you want to contribute to their work? And another thing is that a professor really told me this. He said that he's a microbiologist, and someone from oncology will be sending him an application asking him to be a supervisor. So how does it even correlate? Something like that. Like you asking the wrong professor or making the wrong application sometimes, it also affects your application, I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adenike, for that. So are there other questions? Tosin, do you have a question?
Yes, I was just going to ask if anybody could share like their experiences during the PhD. Were you able to collaborate beyond your university with other researchers and academics? And for those who transitioned outside of academia, how was that possible? How was the experience? Just general experience discussion or something. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I can give a few points on that. So I guess you are in the social sciences, right? If I'm correct.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. But overall, I think, a PhD, you are free to design it the way you want. If you want collaborations, sometimes maybe you need to make your supervisor see the need for that. And if you already know what you want to do after your PhD, if you want to stay in academia, if you want to go to NGO or industry, you need to already start designing it already from the beginning. So if you know a collaboration with a certain group would help me to, improve my profile for a certain career path, then I would surely emphasize on it during my PhD, because that is also part of the PhD. So a PhD is not just me working on my own project and finishing that and answering my micro research questions. It is more than that. We need to look at the big picture of the soft skills and other things that it can offer you. So as a result, for me personally, during my PhD, I was going to conferences a lot. Basically, sometimes for two conferences or three conferences a year, because after the PhD, I don't have a chance to do that anymore. So I was traveling a lot, and this improved my network. I was able to collaborate with people, and definitely this then helped me for my goal after the PhD, what I am doing currently at the moment. And I don't know what you also asked about, but I think yeah, that gives like a general overview. So we are definitely out of time, but if our convener and of course you, the audience, if you would like, we could stay 10 minutes longer. At least we would like to stay 10 minutes longer. And if you also don't mind, then we could have a more interesting conversation for the next 10 minutes. So if you agree to that, give a thumbs up. And if you don't agree, then of course we would also end now. Okay, the thumbs up are not so much. So it appears many people are just in the meeting, but they are not active. Probably they are doing something else. If the thumbs up are not enough, so if you want us to stay for the next few minutes, we want more thumbs up from you guys. And if there are no sufficient thumbs up, it basically means that people are just connected to the call and they are not giving their attention in this meeting. So more, please. Okay, we'll check the other. Okay, I see some others on the other pages. Okay, thanks a lot. We would stay for the next few minutes. And then the next question, I would give it to Joseph. Joseph, please.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I really saw the need to just quickly give a slight contribution to all the questions, especially the one Andrew raised. And I saw the need to make this contribution because oftentimes I mentor some person and I do receive their application proposals and all of that. And one thing, the underlying thing I've come to notice is that a good number of applicants have the mindset that they are intending to become professionals, especially for PhD applicants. Not to rush, you're not yet a professional. The person you're applying to is the professional. So you are at the position of wanting to become like a student to learn more. So don't have at the back of your mind that you should be perfect in your writing. Good number of us work with this mindset of being perfectionist. No, you are a student or you are about to be a student, so there's room for you to learn. So with that, you have to be concise. With that at the back of your mind, you have to be concise in your writing. When they say not more than 2 pages, make sure it is not more than 2 pages, and still make sure you capture all that needs to be captured, concise and precise. Then also kindly check for unrealistic comment, data, or excessive exaggerations. Some of the things that come to is that they issue out unrealistic comment, data as well. And these people you are applying to are, as I said earlier, professionals in their field. So they must have either worked on similar things or have reviewed similar things or have even published stuff. So they have sufficient knowledge about the subject area. So just because you want to impress, show an impression of your intellect, then you start issuing out data and all of that. To your surprise, they have this information. And these are one of the reasons why from your proposal, they can easily reject because they get to know that maybe this person is falsifying. And lastly, while writing, is be very, very, very careful with your referencing citations. Some of the citations are wrongly cited, and sometimes they get to know that you cited the wrong paper. I've seen a situation where someone extracted something from a third-party reference. Meanwhile, the person who was reviewing that work is his work. So rather than citing the first party, you went and cited the third party, and immediately that became a challenge. So these are the few things I want to contribute to when applying for funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for that contribution. I think that's really insightful, and yeah, we've learned a bit more about this topic of PhD application and why there are rejections. I saw a hand from Babatunde. Don't know if anyways, are there other people that are interested to ask questions? So I could ask Emmanuel. Okay, Hazan, please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I quickly just wanted to ask this and also make some quick contributions. And it has to do with the supervision and getting the supervisor for work. In fact, I have worked closely with some professors, and sometimes in as much as we try to emphasize the need of why we should make our applications quite quality in nature, there are certain realities also that inhibits our processes of getting funding and supervisions. For example, there are many times that supervisors have worked with other people that are equally interested in what you are doing. So, for example, if a supervisor has worked with somebody in the western part of Africa, he may not want to also repeat with that same project, for example. He wants to have a different regional focus. And sometimes also people or other supervisors may want to ensure some regional balances. And sometimes their interests may also be turned to something else. So I think that it's important for us to emphasize that there is the need for us to make our proposals the most quality it can be, but I think there are certain limitations that are equally beyond the control of these funding agencies, professors, in order to absorb us. Some of them don't have funding, some of them have changed their career path, some of them are overwhelmed, some of them have more students to supervise. So these are also some realities that I think we keep on searching for others, but not necessarily feel extremely bad ourselves when we are trying. So that's the little.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Hassan, for that contribution as well. Then can we have Babatunde, please?
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I picked something from what Dr. Adenaya said on why applications are rejected. Probably someone is changing career paths, as she cited. Maybe you have a supervisor who is a microbiologist and you are oncologist. such could lead to application being rejected. So the question is, for those who are changing career, for those who are changing course of studies, will that affect them? Will it affect the chances of being accepted for the scholarship? Thank you. I hope you got my
I'd like
point.
to make, got it. I would like to make a quick contribution to that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
It depends on what you're referring to changing careers. Nothing is wrong in someone, for instance, who studied medicine and surgery, I don't know what, or any field, to do something related to biochemistry or microbiology. The most important thing is that you have the requisite skills. What you are proposing, this is what I think Adenike was trying to say. If you are writing to a professor of microbiology and you are proposing a research that is maybe on oncology, then this is the problem. It's not necessarily the degree that you have. I myself, I had a master in wood science, but now I'm working on low temperature ceramics, developing materials for the construction industry. So it depends on if you have the requisite skills and knowledge and what you are proposing. Is it catchy enough to the professor? I know this is not like the forum to discuss about how to write the emails and stuff, but it pays to really take your time to gather information, not just about how to write or what to write, but about whom you are writing to. It pays if you could get this kind of information. You could read it off from their papers, if you meet them at forum or contact people who may know these people personally. So it pays for you to know how you can tailor your statement of research interest and then make it catchy enough and relevant to the potential host. For me, this is what is important.
All right, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Does Adenike wants to comment on that? If not, then we might be calling it a close.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. First of all, I'm not yet a doctor. My name is Adenike. I'm still doing my PhD. Yes, I totally agree with what Emmanuel said, that it depends on what you're really proposing to your perspective host, actually. So this idea that this thing that I mentioned, I was talking with like a professor, a German professor, and he said that he received so many emails, especially from people in Africa, and some of them don't even read. They don't read what he does. They don't read his research, and they just come up with something that is totally different, actually. So it also depends. I mean, just like what Emmanuel said, it depends on how you package your proposal, what you want to like add to whatever they are doing already. There is not it's not even what they are doing already, it's what is the relevance of what you want to add to them. So I think that's really important. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adenike. And there's an interesting question in the chat from Inkichi. This question, we cannot address it anymore, but I think it's interesting. There will be sessions in this conference that will touch on this your question. So I guess everyone can see the question. I think there's a session on Wednesday, which is about something on transitioning out of PhD. Also on Saturday, if you're in Germany, if you can make it to Hamburg, we also have a session on transitioning from PhD to other kind of industry. So, but a quick point on this is that it's not about you. So Germans or other people are also facing problems in transitioning from PhD to the labor market. So, and there are things that you need to do because it's not easy because you are trained for PhD and for academia. So you need to take initiative yourself to be aware about how to do that. But anyway, I hope you will join the rest of the conference and these other sessions that will be interesting for you. So thanks everyone for participating in this session.